Next up, we go to Libya and the increasing pressure to remove Muammar Gaddafi from power. There are long gas lines today in the Libyan capital because of shortages of gasoline. NBC's chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel's in Tripoli for us. So good morning again to you, Richard. And these gas lines, when we talk about problems here in the States, but they don't even come close to what you're dealing with there in Tripoli. What's going on that front?
The fuel shortages here have effectively paralyzed Tripoli. Very few cars are still on the streets, and professional drivers, taxis, trucks, minibuses, they have no choice but to drive. So when they run out of fuel, they go to the gas station, sometimes pushing their cars, and will have to wait 3 or 4 days before they can fill up their tanks. Gas is still very, very short, very, very cheap, but there just isn't enough of it. Some of it is being diverted by the Gaddafi government to its troops that are fighting this rebel movement, particularly in other parts of Libya, not necessarily here in Tripoli itself. And also the embargo has stopped all imports of fuel and all imports of foreign goods. So in addition to the long gas lines, there are also shortages of currency and with inflation, as there's not as much supply coming in, prices are going up 50% or more, depending on what you're looking to buy.
What about economic sanctions, Richard? Might that put enough pressure on Muammar Gaddafi to get out, if you couple that with the calls from the international community to say it's time to go?
Well, international sanctions are a peculiar tool of foreign policy. They certainly make the people suffer, and people here are suffering, with the idea is that they would eventually rise up and turn against their government. This is, however, a dictatorship, so the people don't have a lot of power to go out and express themselves. Right now, they are mostly suffering in quiet. Occasionally, people will come up to us as journalists, foreign journalists, and express their frustrations. But they do it with a great deal of trepidation. They are still worried that Gaddafi's forces, the security forces, have thugs and enforcers in particular neighborhoods. I walked through a neighborhood outside of Tripoli the other day with a man. He was so scared, he wanted me to walk several hundred yards behind him. He wouldn't turn around so that none of his neighbors would know that we were actually in communication. So, yes, the sanctions are making people suffer, but there's still a great deal of fear. The security forces are strong, and people have not been able to organize and put any kind of physical opposition against the regime into effect here.
Always appreciate your live reporting. Richard Engel from Libya, thank you.